All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Roger Ball. I'm with the Columbus State Community College in the Business Programs Department.
Awesome.
Welcome to our leadership series. Our leadership series is a partnership between Columbus State Community College and the Central Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council and its minority business enterprises. And I should say certified minority business enterprises. And what we are attempting to do is to go out and find these great minority business enterprises, the leadership, and then just have a conversation about business. And hopefully, they will be able to drop some great nuggets that our students can take back with them. Um, just think about how they might start developing their minds for to become entrepreneurs. And so today we would like to introduce Hiten Shah, who's the president and CEO of MES Inc. And so, Hiten, welcome and thank you so much for your valuable time. We really, really, really appreciate it.
Roger, thank you so much for having me. Really appreciate the opportunity to be here, and glad to share what we know and what we have learned and what we have faced as we've been a part of this business over the last 13 years. So,
Okay, super. I'll tell you, if my students are, if they come on or they watch this video later, one of the things that I talk about all the time is taking copious notes. This is a great opportunity for you students to take some copious notes. So
for sure.
let's just jump in, Hinton. And can you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of your education path that you took to that leads you to being one of these great entrepreneurs?
Yeah, thank you. So I did my undergraduate in India. Came up just a part of the middle class family. My dad was a small business owner. I did my in plastics engineering. Then I did my master's in plastics engineering in University of Massachusetts. And right out of school, I was hired by one of the managers that came to interview on campus from Akron. And he basically told me after the interview saying, "Hey, I'm going to go back home and give you a job." And I didn't think it was possible. I'm like, "How is it?" This was literally third interviews in the United States after 2 years of studying. So I didn't believe him. But long and behold, the offer came through about a week and a half later in a mail. It used to be the old way, and nice pristine envelope with things like that. So accepted that. We spent a couple of years there, and then moved to Columbus. Worked for a company in Delaware, Ohio, called Midwest Acoustifiber, and really fortunate to be a part of that company where I was a one-man engineer to start with. We were about $3.5 million in sales in '93 when I joined. And then when I left them in 2001, we had about $28 million. We had sites in Zeeland, Michigan. We had a couple of new expansions in Delaware area as well. We had 11 patents that I was a part of co-inventor or inventor for. So it was just a fantastic experience. And then 2002, basically, I decided to go on my own. Became a sales rep and a consultant, and basically a technical sales role for multiple companies in the automotive space. I was selling for some tooling manufacturers in Galion, Ohio, in Dayton, Ohio, a prototype shop in Michigan, and then a Canadian assembly, stamped and welded assembly manufacturer out of Toronto. So multiple things basically over a 7-year period, 2002 through 2007, 8, essentially we did that. In 2007, I embarked on this opportunity to represent some manufacturers out of India for a couple of our customers. And we basically hooked them together, sourced the parts, got them a lot of cost reductions, and they started to say, "Hey, we don't want to be in a Skype calls at midnight with these manufacturers. Can you manage the supply chain?" And I'm like, "How hard can it be?" So it was just there's a certain value to be very naive and not knowing a lot of stuff, because if it could really paralyze you. Sometimes just doing it is the only way to learn and get on the other side. And then they said, "Okay, how about going to China? Can you do that?" And we're like, "How hard can it be? And can you hold the inventory? Can you buy it and sell it to us?" "Yeah, how hard can it be?" So that was a story where I basically between that 2007 and 2011, we grew leaps and bounds by making all possible mistakes we can. Um, and picking a wrong supplier, picking a wrong engineer, picking a wrong business to follow, wrong pricing, every possible thing. But through all that mess, we got two customers that kind of we did a good job with, and they really like what we did, and they're like, "This is good. Can you do more? Can you do this? Can you do this?" And and we were able to take opportunity, of a lifetime in that case of when the LEDs were changing, and the lighting manufacturers were coming up with new fixtures every 6 months. And fortunately, we were built for that agility. We were built for that very quick, time to market, very quick tooling, being very flexible and very nimble, and those type of things. So that's how we came into being. And then 2010 onwards, we just been building up the business.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask you some questions about the business specifically, but I want to circle back to a couple things that I picked up that you said.
Yeah.
And one of the first thing is, are you trying to say that you weren't perfect in your journey as an entrepreneur? You actually made mistakes. So, I mean, this is important because for students to hear that you don't always get it right. No one's going to always get it right, but they, I'm sure they would appreciate it more coming from you than me.
Well, so what I would show you is that what you see here is a failure wall. Okay. So we are one of the stupid ones that actually document our failures every year on the things that we have messed up on, and we kind of get our arms around, okay, what happened? How did we get things wrong? Who did wrong, or what went wrong? What was the decision making like? And we kind of look at that on a monthly basis. So tomorrow we have our metrics meeting, and there are three things that we'll discuss: in things that went right in April, things that went wrong in April, and things that we'll do in May and June.
Okay.
So those are the themes that kind of go around, and then we kind of go around the whole global. We have offices in 9 countries, so we then go around the table and, okay, who else something to add or share or questions and things like that, and we basically celebrate all the new team members that have joined the team.
Okay.
So yeah, no, far from being perfect. Actually, we continue to pile on new records every year, and I think as long as I'm in business, I don't think that's going to stop.
Yeah. Well, great. That's a very, very interesting concept. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. So, just so that everyone understands, can you tell us what your business is and kind of the industry that you're in?
Yeah, so we basically help companies with supply chain management. Now, that's a pretty big word, but we focus on narrow niches of mechanical components that are used in lighting, agriculture, automotive, electrical, industrial areas. So we have customers like Schneider Electric. We have customers like Acuity Brands. We have customers like Worthington Industries. We have customers in automotive space, like Lordstown Motors, the new and upcoming, and many of the older things. We have a lot of agriculture suppliers like FlexFab, Holland, those type of things. So, but what we do is we basically source mechanical components in our sourcing countries: India, China, Vietnam, Mexico, Poland. We do quality audits and inspections. We bring in the goods and we warehouse to be within 3 days of our customers. We do all of the JIT shipments from our warehouses. And then we also do some value-added operations near our warehouses. So we'll send parts for special painting, for special powder coating. We might do some sub-assemblies ourselves in Monterrey, Mexico, or in Ohio. We have locations in Poland, in Juarez, Mexico, Tijuana, Mexico, California, which is just doing warehousing. They don't do any other value-added type of stuff. So that we basically do a 5-step process where, currently we have about 650 suppliers in our database that we go to for a specific RFQ. And again, all these are mechanical components, castings, housings, those type of things for lighting, ag, and these other industries.
Okay. All right. You used a number of acronyms in there, right? And no, that's all right. Because we talk about, these are business acronyms, right? JIT, just in time, RFQ, request for quote,
Right.
Um, I'm not sure if you use any.
Quality audits
Yeah,
and APQP, which is Advanced Product Quality Planning, the whole project management that follows the whole quality protocol set by the automotive action group, basically.
okay, great. And I think this is important because these are concepts that our students are learning. And so,
Yeah,
if in fact they think, right, that this stuff is not important, it's not used, I
yeah,
didn't prompt you. You are talking about these things, and they're real. They're used in business, just like you're talking about your RFQs and your on shoot, I can't.
on to be
Yeah,
JIT within the customer's locations of 3 days, and we do quality audits basically, and we manage the supply chain. So we do some pick suppliers, we do quality audits, and then we ship it, and we own those goods all the way into our warehouses, and then from those warehouses we ship just in time, on a daily basis, weekly basis, sometimes 5, 6, 7 times a day to hit every shift. And then we do some value added stuff, you know, that are specific low volume out of those high stuff that we bring in, uh,
okay.
to be
All right. All right.
domestically.
So, I'm gonna kind of switch a little bit to, kind of on the financing type side.
Yeah.
Like for you to give some of your perspective on when we talk about growth. Now, you're in 9 countries. I think you said. Obviously, you didn't start out in
Yeah.
9 countries, right?
No.
And so there was opportunities to grow. And
Yeah.
as you put your strategy together, we talk about growth from a debt or equity standpoint, debt versus equity. And obviously, those are strategic decisions. Can you just share with us kind of your thought process and which way you all decided to grow?
Yeah. So, we are averse to debt. I mean, we basically, all the way through, we carry very, very little debt. We carry debts maybe sometimes when we have spike months of October, Chinese New Year's, or we're building up inventory for February shutdowns, things like that. So we use very little debt. But when we started off, when the first container that we bought in 2000 and late 2007, 2008, it was about $38,000. And I didn't have that much money in my checking account, nor did a business have it. So we did the home equity line of credit, and bought the first container. Immediately, the customer said, "You got to build up the second container." So the 38,000 ended up being almost $84,000, and we didn't have much money. Fortunately, though, we my wife Hina, we live in the same house for the last 25 odd years. And we were always good savers and things. So we had enough equity in the house to do that. And we basically borrowed against that to fund the first 2 containers. And then 6 months, nothing happened. We couldn't sell it. The customer was like, "Oh yeah, we'll start the line soon enough." There were delays in 2008 recession. So nothing really started in earnest until spring of 2009. For those 12 months, it was a little antsy time. We're like, okay, we're sitting on $90,000 worth of inventory. Are we gonna sell anything or what? So that happened, and then 2009 onwards, we started to see some growth. And between 2009 and 2013, Huntington Bank basically supported us, but in very tranches. So we had, for $370,000 for the total line of credit, we had 4 lines. We had one for 100, one for 90, one for 90, and one for 100 again, or something like that. And then finally, 2013, we regrouped together to basically $500,000 line of credit, and we needed all of that as we were growing. We were about $1 million in sales in 2010, and basically doubling every year. And then we were in Inc. 500, Inc. 5000, Fast 50 for 7 years in a row. Fastest 3 years in Inc. 500, 2 years in Inc. 5000. So we were growing very, very fast. All good stuff, but we had to borrow against the line of credit. Everything was co-signed by us, guaranteed by us.
Personally,
Personally, absolutely.
Right,
so I had
right.
my kids and my wife and my house and everything on the line. So fortunately, she allowed me to do that, to chase my dream. But Yeah, so that it's a like, first you have to have a debt. There is no, without collateral, nobody's gonna give you much money. And even if the family members or somebody does, there's your idea. Um, that's the easiest way to do it. That's also the cheapest money, because you can pay it back. You're in control of it. Um, you have to build in enough margins, and you have to execute well to make sure that you actually have the cash flow. We always willing to take the income statement risk over a balance sheet risk.
Right.
um, so keeping that clean balance sheet has served us well over the years.
Okay. Great. So, you started out from a debt situation, and I think that's important to articulate to these potential entrepreneurs. Debt is not always bad, right? But
Right.
it has to be strategic. It may have to be necessary, and you can use certainly debt as well as equity. But in order to get to a position where your company is able to use equity, you may have to start out using debt, and you can switch back and forth if you choose. So it's, again, I think that it's great to hear these types of things from an entrepreneur who's doing those things every day. Um, I want to kind of switch a little bit and go into inventory management. This is just an area that
Yeah.
I love, right? I mean, and and you know, I believe that it's one of those hidden treasures, right? It's one of those areas where you can gain significant competitive advantage, increase your profitability, increase your cash flow without raising your prices. And many
Yeah.
businesses, and in particular small businesses, have not really understood or been able to adapt at managing
Yeah.
this aspects of their business. And so when
Yeah.
you talk about creating value, certainly we talk about this a lot. Can you explain to us how your company creates value through inventory management for your customers?
Yeah, thank you. That's an excellent question. So as we were basically trying to ramp up, our business, and we had some good visibility in 2008 and 9, we started to get purchase orders for certain components, and all of that. In June of 2009, I basically said, I basically said, okay, everything that I'm doing on the commissions and consulting side has to stop, because this is a very scalable opportunity. And if I didn't take advantage of it now, and I'm trying to be on both sides of the equation, I would, I would not do justice to the opportunity. So I basically stopped. I canceled all of my rep contracts. They were all very lucrative contracts. I was making almost 150 to $200,000 just in those things. But it had to be sacrificed in order to pursue the dream of a scalable business opportunity. And what I did is I basically did a lot of reading across what are the most important metrics that's going to define success in our business. So I read through Supply Chain Management Digest, CSS MCP, and all of these different organizations that were publishing different things. And I ended up with three metrics that mean the most to us. One was on-time delivery, which is a proxy for customer satisfaction. Okay. The second is good quality, which is quality PPM. That's a proxy for good quality. Supplier PPM, customer PPM. But the third and most important part while doing this is that we can't go bankrupt doing both of those too well. Okay. And the only way to do that is to basically, our only assets were inventory. Our IP, our execution system, our purchasing things have all, it's got to lead to lowering the lead times and lowering the inventory levels. So we embarked on that July 1st, July 2009 is the first month we actually started to track the inventory ODSI. And we look at it every month, and we keep getting more and more complex, more sophisticated in how we do things. So, if we can hold less than 90 days worth of inventory and still have a 99% on-time delivery and a PPM under 100, that's a good, balance that you're doing well. So all of our efforts for the last 12 years have just been dedicated to that. And, so then that's simple enough, right? Okay, you have 3 suppliers, you have 15 part numbers, no big deal. But how do you deal with 2,500 SKUs across 60 suppliers in 7 countries? So, that's what we've come to over the last 13 years, and that's a lot more complicated. And so what we've done is in 2013, 14, 15, in the back failure wall, we had a lot of issues with the on-time delivery. We just couldn't have the right inventory available for our customers. So satisfaction was less, customer escalations were high, spikes, air freights, all of those things. So I kept thinking, okay, there's got to be a better way to really plan for inventory. The customer forecast to customer actuals, we did a lot of statistical analysis on it. Basically, it was from 67 to 72% correlation. And at that type of correlation, you would really be upside down on your slow moving inventory, and you definitely be upside down on your fast moving. So we got to get better. And what I did is we basically went to like 4 different universities. We didn't have money for consultants and consulting companies, but we went to student groups, and I coined a whole paraphrase as, okay, this is the question that we have. How do we plan for inventory? What are the best practices out there? So after 3 semesters of working with several universities, we had process going on, different versions of that going on at Ohio State, Miami University, Indiana University, and Purdue. And Purdue Student Group 1 came up with a very good statistical method of forecasting, okay? And we actually had just a genius out of Indiana University 1 semester just do a back end, so basically back end work and say, okay, if we apply this formula to 24 months back, how would the correlation be to that 23-month back month, And we went back for almost 17, 18 months. We did the back testing on it, and we loved it. So the correlation between the forecast that the Purdue model was doing compared to actual was running about 82%. And like a leaps and bounds statistical measure higher, better than what our customer forecast would be. So we basically adopted that for all of the A and B rank parts, and we started building that whole Excel model out. We used that for almost 3.5, 4 years with a very significant improvement across inventory, on-time delivery, and all of that. And then 2019, because we had more countries and stuff, we started to say, okay, let's look for a software that'll do this work. We had one of our analysts basically look at 7 different softwares. We started to do demo on it, and then through the whole COVID, we lost a few months on trying to slow down that whole thing. Last August, September, we basically picked a software, we negotiated it, and it went live on April 1st after 6 months of customizing and things. So we're now basically, that software will allow us to do C rank parts, which is a slow moving inventory with higher variability. It'll also have a much higher resolution for 60 and 90-day forecast compared to that's only 30 and 60 that we used to be able to do. And it gives you all the exception reports for planners very, very quickly, saying what's slow moving and what's excess on a day-to-day basis on the big dashboard. So it's a lot of expense for a company like us, almost $7,500, $100,000 a year. And implementation took quite a bit of money too. But we thought that really puts us in the best of inventory management, which was your question.
Yeah, yeah. Well, let me see if I can connect the dots between that value added that you create, right, and the competitive advantage. So now what you're saying is, if I hear you correctly, you can now deliver on managing inventory, just in time delivery, right? Customer satisfaction. Now you're in the driver's seat to create KPIs for your customers that your competitors cannot meet.
Yeah. And most of the time, Roger, most of our competitors are our customers. Customers do it themselves, and they miserably fail at those things, at certain parts of their thing, and they say, we really can't do it. We need to get somebody that. So to add to that overlay, we basically, our sourcing strategy about 3 years back kind of got focused on high mix, low volume. So, you'll see long tail products and more varieties and more customization across every industry you can imagine. You can order a Nike shoe today and have a very special one of a kind, made for you and delivered in 4 to 6 weeks, right? So that's the level of customizing these things are going to. In 2011, when I visited a customer in Mississippi, They are over an 8-hour period shift. They were doing 4 colors on these components. When I visited them in 2007, they were doing 23, 24, 25 different colors in an 8-hour shift.
Wow.
Okay,
Wow.
so
Yeah.
you can see the number of explosion of different things. We just put a white paper together in March across a platform like a Honda Civic, where the number of SKUs is mushroomed so much because of the hybrid, because of electric, because of partial hybrid or whatever, and because of number of engines and transmissions. So each vehicle has 3,500 components on an average. And they used to be able to run with 3 different versions of it across 10,000 for a vehicle platform. Now you got 20, 25, 30,000 components to satisfy that thing. It's it's a lot more ginormous task, so to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. All right. Let me just ask one more question regarding inventory management. I was reading where you all specialize in taking customers' inventory levels from 56 days to 3 days.
Right.
Can you articulate for us what that does for a customer situation from a financial standpoint?
Yeah. I think, it's pretty well known, right? Over the last 15 years, 20 years, most of the Fortune 500 management teams have diverted their focus on supply chains. And by that, what I mean is more and more, they only do value added, they only do sub assemblies, they only do design of the products, and they do assemblies. They don't want to manufacture anything. They just want to source it to the least, to the best cost, best service, that type of stuff possible. So, what happens is that, let's say there is a light fixture manufacturer and they have a housing, they have a plastic part, they have LEDs, they have drivers and all of that. If they're buying from certain countries, and they have to, this is not possible to, some certain components just are not cost effective to do in US, for example. You got to go to Mexico, or you got to go to China or Taiwan or whatever else, just because of the tooling cost and tooling lead time. A glass like this, to make a tool like this, okay, in US would cost probably $150,000. In China, it costs 40,000. So the capex is significantly, cheaper. It would take 14 weeks to make a tool like this here, versus China make that in 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. So the responsiveness to go to market strategy, all that stuff is so much more effective, so much more faster if you do tooling in some of these cost countries. And that's where we help. We help these customers and OEMs improve their time to market, improve their responsiveness. They might start off with, say, okay, we have a forecast for 20,000 units. They might scale up to 50,000. Well, how do you do that here? I mean, a local manufacturer would take a year to do something like that. We'd scale, within 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, we can get a second tool up and running, with that type of capacity open. So, but if they're doing it themselves, they've got to account for all of that inventory. They got to account for what's in their warehouse. They got to account for what's in transit. They got to account for what they've ordered. But what happens is that the delivery times from these suppliers is anywhere from 60 to 90 days, while the customers are expecting them to react and deliver within 2 to 4 weeks, maybe 6 weeks if they're lucky. So when they have orders, they don't have the supply to match that most of the time. And and in between, if they have to hold that 99% on-time delivery for these customers, they got to hold about 50, 60, 70 days worth of inventory. But if we are involved, in order to get that same on-time delivery, we basically ship to be within 3 days. So we will hold the 3 days worth of inventory, and they only have to hold 3 days in their plans to make it happen.
So certainly you can look at this and very, very easily see how when they reduce their inventory levels, they significantly increase their cash flow, because that cash is not going out to inventory. And they're able to cycle those days sales outstanding significantly reduce, right? If you're delivering just in time for their process, and they're invoicing, and they may even actually get their revenue in prior to their whatever terms they have.
Precisely. Yeah, absolutely. It's a significant
carrying costs.
Yeah, I mean, the whole balance sheet looks so much better. And these 500 companies, they have goals, they have board of directors, and they have stock prices. All of those things get impacted by all that. So.
So my final question for you, you're in 9 different countries. Obviously, these are diverse individuals, employees, customers, vendors
Yeah.
that you're dealing with. Can you just share with us, how are you managing through the diverse individuals that you deal with? What types of things come up, and what is it that makes you successful at that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Roger. So, we ended up through COVID basically doing a lot of introspection, and we ended up with our 8 core values. Okay, 8 operating philosophies. Respect for all the different forms of cultures. That's one. The other is our communication is instantaneous. We have very, very smart technologies that give access to all the relevant information to decision makers. So, anything that you want to see on the drawing, on the quantities, everything is visible on our portal. We build a technology portal ourselves, basically, that gives visibility of which parts are being made and what supplier and what quantities are being made, how much visibility there is. Every quality engineer reports on a daily basis when they visit the supplier what they're seeing. So they actually report on the quality app. Um, we have a visibility of every one of our development projects. So I think there is about 320 projects right now going through the entire system. They're going through 4 different gates: gate 1, 2, 3, and 4. There are specific activities that happen in each gate. So every Wednesday, we look at every single project from every single engineer. Globally, teams engage with that. And then I think you can't emphasize enough the need for over communication. So we have our daily huddles, we have our weekly blitzes, we have a monthly metrics management, we have bi-monthly one-on-ones with the associates, and then an annual plan where we actually do redistribute the jobs or reconstruct the jobs, or at least 20 to 30% of the people, where we move them into different areas where they may be uncomfortable or we may be uncomfortable. But it's a mandatory move to make sure that we are vibrant and that we stay alert and agile. And not too many people can get kind of, stuck in the race, so to say. But I think overall, we trust the people to do good work. We trust that everybody wants to do a good job. We just have to create an ambience in the atmosphere for them to do good work. And we do lead. We have heated debates, and we have off gassing sometimes, where like we can be blowing off steam. But I think there is a general respect for every individual in our team globally. They play a vital role in our success, and my job is to make sure that we continue to foster that. I have a failure wall in my office and all the award walls are outside, because the team deserves all the awards, but all the failures belong to me. Because if there's something that has gone wrong across more than one individual or a team, that's something that I think I've done wrong, either in communications, or not giving them enough tools, or not recognizing the trends, or whatever it might be. So, so I think the having a respect for all cultures, and we celebrate, Festival of Lights, Diwali, just as much as we do Thanksgiving and Christmas and Chinese New Year or any of that stuff. So we're pretty crazy people, where we look for reasons to bring food and enjoy ourselves.
Great, great, great. I think you just culminated, this conversation and the topic of developing culture, and that culture starts at the top and it emulates down to all of the other employees. So, you have been very, very accommodating with your time. I really appreciate it. But I want to give you the opportunity. If there's something that you would like to share with our students, our rising entrepreneurs, or any of might be MBEs out there, or someone that says, hey, what are your parting comments?
I think the first and the biggest one is, don't be afraid of failures. I think that's what holds most of us back. And if you just kind of be willing to fail and willing to fall and willing to be hurt a little bit, I think we all have inner strength to get through the toughest times. So I think getting over the failures is number one. Number two is, I think, focusing on your self-development. We spend a lot of time when we interview people. We used to interview for technical skills, hardly anymore. Now we interview for attitude, we interview for emotional intelligence, we interview for soft skills, for communication abilities, and their past successes against, to be resilient. Because our customers continue to be more demanding, it doesn't get any easier. Our work does not get any easier. They keep demanding, as soon as you accomplish this, you could be best in the industry, and there is the bar. So we got to be prepared for it, and really have some fun along the way, because you can't take this thing too seriously. Like, really, family comes first, and our work family is right there with them. And we all will have some bad days, but you keep plowing along. And but I think one key thing that I would tell that I tell our kids and our management team is, you do have an edge if you can figure out where you want to go. More clear you have a vision of your own future, I think it drives you, and it's going to force your subconscious actions and conscious actions to move towards it, which is underrated. I think none of us have abilities to the crystal ball. But if you're clear that this is what I want to do, I want to make $1 million, I want a business with 60 people, I want to be in this country, or I want to travel the world, whatever the heck it is, I think you're more clearer about your own goals. Your actions will drive you towards it. So that is one key thing that I think anybody, whether it's an entrepreneur or student, I feel like that's something that I enjoy, and it's been successful for me. So that's one advice, I guess.
All right.
Roger, I wanna say, can we quote him on that? I know Hiten personally, and that is something that I teach my students here at Columbus State, that what matters is your soft skills. What matters is that you know how to communicate effectively, that you know yourself so that you can interact with other people of different temperaments, of different learning styles, of different, that have different strengths, so you can lean on each other in times of strife, or you can lean on each other in times of trouble. So I had to unmute myself and say hi to Hiten, and to say, yes, that's exactly what we share with students all the time. And I wish that they would discover that more, that it's not about the pay. It's not about the job skills, even sometimes, of what you're bringing. It's really about your emotional intelligence and those soft skills and your ability to communicate with other people effectively. That's what so many companies are lacking and seeking right now. So thank you I was so happy when you stated that, because that's exactly what we tell our students all the time. So
That's good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jessica, for jumping in and connecting some more dots for us and for our students, that these things that they learn in class are just not stuff that we're throwing up there. It is actually used in not only in real businesses, but successful businesses are using these things. So Hiten, I want to say once again, thank you so much for coming out and providing us with your time, your wisdom, your knowledge, and your thought process. We truly appreciate it. And I just want to remind everyone, this is our leadership series. This interview was with Hiten Shah, President and CEO of MES Inc. And guys, if you get an opportunity, take an opportunity, go out and visit their website. And I am certain that you will be as impressed as I am. And this is a partnership, again, between Ohio Minority Supplier Development Council and Columbus State Community College Business Programs Department. So everyone, to our guests, thank you for being here. And we're going to check out until the next lecture series. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Roger. Really appreciate it. Enjoyed the exchange.
Thank you.